Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Kelly Pirtle with NOAA Communications in Norman, Oklahoma, and I'm a member of NOAA's Central Region Collaboration Team. And I'm your host for today's webinar. I'm very excited to kick off our 14th 3-Minute Thesis Webinar. Today's webinar is focused on several NOAA programs that support identifying, inspiring, and providing opportunities for students of all ages. There are so many that we can't cover them all. The programs highlighted today range from ocean and watershed education to undergraduate and graduate internships to elementary school and professional level presentations. These presenters will share how NOAA is encouraging involvement in activities that may inspire or provide pathways to NOAA careers, all in an effort to foster NOAA's next generation as we continue to better understand our natural world and help protect its precious resources. Each of today's panelists will have just 3 minutes and 1 slide to cover their topic. This format is based on a model used by universities across the country as a way to briefly share information about a project, initiative, or research. You can see from the outline, after each group, we will take a break for questions from you, our audience. And near the end of the hour, all of the panelists will return to respond to your questions for a few minutes. At any point during the presentations, please submit your questions in writing using the questions pane of the GoToWebinar panel. Asia Shumalo, the coordinator for the NOAA West Regional Collaboration Team, will be taking your questions and sharing them with our presenters. We're also being assisted today by Bethany Perry, the coordinator for the NOAA Central Region Collaboration Team. I'd also like to thank Louisa Koch and Lisa Kim for their help with the webinar planning. Good news is we are recording today's webinar. It will be shared via email and available on the NOAA Central Region's team webpage next week. Finally, we would really love to get your feedback on this event. Please take a moment at the conclusion of today's webinar to complete a very brief survey. All right, let's get started. I hope you've heard of the NOAA Ambassadors program already, and if you're already an ambassador, thank you. In just a couple years, the program has connected a number of NOAA employees, I think it's over 500, and from all line offices and all regions of the country with their communities. From science fair judges to local library talks to career fairs, NOAA ambassadors are spreading the word about the great work of our agency. Kayleen Torres, our new NOAA Ambassadors Program Coordinator under the NOAA Office of Education, will share with us more information and how to sign up. Start us off, Kayleen.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Hello, everyone. As Kelly so gracefully introduced me, my name is Kayleen Torres, and I am the NOAA Ambassadors Program Coordinator. Today, I am super excited to talk for a few minutes about this NOAA initiative that has been going on for the last 2 years. You might have heard of it and not know much about it, or you might have never heard of it. So what is the NOAA Ambassadors Program? NOAA Ambassadors is an agency-wide program dedicated to improve NOAA-related outreach, education, and service efforts in the communities. And this effort is designed to promote NOAA's mission and connect employees to their communities. We want to spread the word about the amazing work that NOAA is doing. And of course, we want to motivate NOAA employees to share their vast experience and knowledge with the public. But who can get involved? We welcome everyone. Any NOAA employee, fellow affiliate, contractor, or retiree is encouraged to become an ambassador. So being a federal employee is not a requirement to be part of it. If you have ever been interested in doing outreach and engaging with communities, you're welcome to join this initiative and become a NOAA ambassador. We recommend that you first talk with your supervisor and let them know about your interest in doing outreach. And when you get your supervisor's approval, you can fill out our sign-up form, which you can find scanning the QR code at the top of the slide. After this process, we encourage you to review our available materials, our trainings, and Q&As found in our Google site, and to get familiarized with the Ambassadors Toolkit, where you can find resources to prepare for an event. In that toolkit, we have K-12 resources, NOAA 101, and NOAA 101 slide printable handouts and student opportunities that you can share during your event with students or your audience. And once you do this, you are now ready to engage with the community and have fun. And there are a couple ways that you can do this. You can host your own event. You can schedule a visit to your school, to your kids' schools, be a judge for a science competition, participate in a coastal cleanup, among many other activities, or you can always volunteer in one of the events facilitated by the program. We get lots of requests from teachers and community members to have a NOAA representative provide a talk or host a table at a fair, and we share those opportunities through our mailing list weekly, so that ambassadors can volunteer. These events can vary by region, topic, or field or area of expertise, so it is very important to be on the lookout for our emails so you don't miss any opportunity. But whether you host your own event or you participate in one of the events facilitated by the program, we would always love to hear back from you and to hear how the event went. So you're always welcome to fill out the reporting form. And if you would like to know more about the program, if you have any questions or just want to share or request an event with us, feel free to contact the email down below. And I believe that's all I wanted to highlight from the Ambassadors program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kayleen. What a great way to start us off. And thank you to all of our NOAA ambassadors. Our next speaker is Bronwyn Rice, who is also based at the NOAA Office of Education in Washington, D.C. Bronwyn came to NOAA in 2008 as a Sea Grant Canals Fellow and is passionate about using education to motivate the public to respond to complex environmental challenges. She will share information about how the NOAA BWET program supports meaningful watershed educational experiences for students around the country. Bronwyn?
Thanks so much, Kelly. As Kelly said, I'm Bronwyn Rice. I'm the National Coordinator for the NOAA Bay Watershed Education and Training Program, or BWET. BWET is an environmental education grant program that promotes place-based experiential learning for K-12 students and related professional development for teachers. BWET serves 7 areas of the country: California, Chesapeake Bay, the Great Lakes, Gulf of Mexico, Hawaii, New England, and the Pacific Northwest. BWET funding opportunities are offered regionally through local NOAA host offices in the National Ocean Service, National Marine Sanctuaries, and Fisheries. And this regional approach allows BWET to provide tailored grantee support and capacity building, as well as place-based STEM resources and expertise, and respond to local education and environmental priorities. Shaded areas on the map on the slide are generally eligible for BWET funds, and note that some regions have specific watershed boundaries or focus on projects working in specific communities. So always see our current funding opportunities for specifics, which are available on our website or that's linked on the slide or at grants.gov. And BWET grants support meaningful watershed educational experiences, or MWEs for short. The MWE framework is the cornerstone of the BWET program. It's based on best practices, and it's the common element among all of our diverse regional programs. The MWE is a learner-centered framework that focuses on investigations into local environmental issues and leads to informed action. MWEs are made up of multiple components that include learning both outdoors and in the classroom, and are designed to increase environmental literacy by actively engaging students in building knowledge and meaning through hands-on experiences. In these experiences, students define an issue for investigation, participate in outdoor field activities, conduct synthesis and conclusions, and implement environmental action projects. The core ideas and practices of multiple disciplines are applied to make sense of the relationships between the natural world and society. And MWEs help connect students with their local environment and equip them to make decisions and take actions that contribute to stronger, sustainable, and equitable communities. We have resources like the MWE Guide that's featured on this slide that help educators design effective environmental education experiences. In the guide, you'll find descriptions of the MWE elements and supporting practices, as well as tools and worksheets for planning and implementing a MWE. And you don't need to be a BWET grantee to use the MWE framework, so definitely check that out. And I wanted to highlight the photos on this slide that illustrate some of our projects in action. So in the top left, you see students participating in a field course at Hakalau Forest, learning about native Hawaiian birds. In the middle, there's middle school's Green Bridges students planting native riparian plants along the Flint River at Barber Park in Montrose, Michigan. And on the cover of the MWE Guide on the right, you see Foothill Technology High School students measuring the pH of the Ventura River in California. So high quality environmental education opportunities like those supported by BWET provide tools and resources for the next generation to create meaningful change. Thank you.
Thank you, Bronwyn. Such a wonderful practical program. Our third speaker is Seaberry Nakbar, who is located in Monterey, California. She has been working for NOAA's Office of National Marine Sanctuaries as an education coordinator for 22 years. Seaberry developed and implemented the NOAA Ocean Guardian School program, which works with students to encourage changes in environmental practices in schools and communities. The goal is to provide the resources that can make lasting environmental changes that benefit the ocean. Tell us more, Seaberry.
Thank you for inviting me on. I'm excited to talk about this program. As a third grader, Ruby participated in the Green Team at Calabasas Elementary School in Watsonville, California. This engagement at a young age led to an interest in ocean stewardship and literacy, which grew through middle and high school and ultimately resulted in a full ride scholarship to Brown University to study marine sciences. Ruby will be the first in her family to attend college. The Green Team at Calabasas was implemented and funded under the NOAA Ocean Guardian School program. Hi everyone, my name is Seaberry Nakbar and I'm the program director for the NOAA Ocean Guardian School program. The NOAA Ocean Guardian School program engages K through 12 students in the protection and conservation of local watersheds and our one global ocean. Students carry out hands-on stewardship projects on their school campus or in their local community that directly helps to protect the health of the ocean. Projects can focus on one of 5 different pathways: the 6 R's, marine debris, schoolyard habitat, restoration, and energy and ocean health. Teachers and students work together to propose a project through a competitive application process. If they are selected, they receive up to $4,000 per year to implement the project the following school year. There are multiple components of the Ocean Guardian School project that are designed to move the project from knowledge to behavior change. These include the project introduction, which introduces the whole school community to the project implementation, which includes hands-on activities that build the skill set to take action, data collection and analysis, which emphasizes the tangible benefits of stewardship activities, and outreach and education that allows students to highlight the successes of the project and advocate for behavioral change, both within their school community and beyond. These components are demonstrated in the photos on this slide. The NOAA Ocean Guardian School program is managed through multiple NOAA line offices. California was the home state of the Ocean Guardian School program back in 2009, but the program has since expanded to 16 different states and U.S. territories. We have worked with hundreds of low-income schools and have invested over $1.6 million in environmental stewardship projects. NOAA Ocean Guardian schools across the nation contribute to resource protection and behavior changes in our next generation. This past year alone, students removed a staggering 40,000 pounds of trash from neighborhoods and beaches and restored a fragile beach dune ecosystem back to health, which resulted in 2 endangered species returning to the area to nest. Data collected from a first-of-its-kind formal education study of an ocean conservation program, we were able to document behavioral changes that show 66% of students are now talking to others about the environment and have an increased commitment to ocean conservation. These opportunities empower students to make changes in their daily lives that can impact and safeguard our one global ocean and give students a hope in the face of an ever-changing climate. If you're interested in learning more about this NOAA program, please feel free to reach out to me.
All right, thank you, Seaberry. We will now take a few minutes to address some questions. You can type your questions in the questions pane of the GoToWebinar control panel. I think we already have some. Asia?
Thanks, Kelly. I'll throw the first question to Kayleen. How can a teacher or a partner organization request a NOAA ambassador come to their school or program?
Yes, so I would recommend to reach out through our email first to noaa.ambassadors@noaa.gov and give us more information about the event that you're requesting. I try to assess before actually reassuring them that we can provide a NOAA representative. I try to assess if the event falls under the NOAA ambassadors umbrella. So reach out to us, let us know about your event, all the information necessary, dates, location, how many volunteers do you need, or in what type of request you need, like a speaker or a booth display, and we will try to help you from there.
Thank you so much, Kayleen. The next question is for Bronwyn. How can folks get involved in the BWET program?
Great, thank you. So for NOAA folks and people with other relevant expertise, we definitely rely on subject matter experts to support projects. We also frequently need reviewers with a diverse experience to participate in our competition selection process. So if you're located in an eligible BWET region, consider reaching out to your regional BWET coordinator to see if there's projects near you that you can get involved with, or if you can lend your expertise to our review process. And of course, always help us get the word out about our funding opportunities to potential applicants you may be aware of in eligible areas. And we have all this information on our website where you can find your regional program manager and more information about those regional funding opportunities if you want to share.
Thank you so much, Bronwyn. A question for Seabury now. Is the Ocean Guardian funding ongoing, or is it for a limited time and for a particular school or program?
That's a great question. We do offer ongoing funding. You can apply each year and receive up to $4,000 for the first 3 years. And then in years 4 and 5, we reduce it slightly to $2,500 and then $1,500 for years 4 and 5. And then you can actually apply again for another 5-year, but we ask that you change your project pathway. And with the idea being that after about 5 years, the stewardship project has become a part of the school infrastructure and part of the system, and is then sustainable in that way.
Great, thank you. I'll go back to Kayleen with a question. What is the commitment required to become a NOAA ambassador, or the time commitment, sorry?
There is no actual time commitment. By signing up to be an ambassador, we don't require a certain amount of hours or a certain amount of events to participate to be part of the program or keep a good standing with the program. This is a completely voluntary initiative. So the time commitment will be what you decide that it will be. If you want to volunteer for an event that we provide, usually those last like 2-3 hours, sometimes more, sometimes less. And then if you host your own event, you can decide how long that event is going to take. And if you participate more than one time, then you can distribute those throughout the year. But there is no specific time commitment that you have to do for the program. This is completely voluntary and in your own time.
Thank you. And one last question for Bronwyn. Is there a particular reason the BWET program is not present in Alaska?
That's a great question. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have enough resources to reach every part of the country currently, and where the program exists currently is based on past congressional guidance that we've received that's informed where we've implemented the program. So as we get more funds for the program, which we're always hoping to do, we are looking to expand where possible, and we would love to add Alaska to that, to the program at some point in the future. So hopefully with more resources, we will be able to expand.
All right, thank you guys for those great questions and those excellent answers. And Kelly, I'll turn it back to you.
All right, thank you. Starting off our next group is Becca Lampe, the Outreach and Education Coordinator with the NOAA Office of Education. You may have met her in the Outreach Center at NOAA headquarters or at an education conference like the National Science Teaching Association. She also curates NOAA educational resources on noaa.gov/education. Becca will help us learn more about NOAA's many educational resources. Becca, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Kelly. So lots of people may want to use the great educational resources that NOAA has. There might be teachers who want to use these resources in their classrooms. Parents might want to use them for activities with their children, or maybe even NOAA staff, like many of you, might be going to an outreach event, maybe an ambassador's event, and you want to have some activities or giveaways for what you're doing. So if you're looking for something on a topic like, say, whales, you might need to check out education pages from NOAA Fisheries or Sanctuaries or the National Ocean Service or maybe Ocean Exploration. And if you're lucky enough to be inside of NOAA, you might know about these different offices and programs, but it's tricky even for people who have a good grasp of our agency to find all of these different websites, let alone for someone who's looking for stuff outside of NOAA. So this is one of the places where the Office of Education comes in. We host a website, noaa.gov/education, where anyone can quickly find educational materials for different audiences. And we have two ways of finding materials, which are shown on my screen or my slide. The first is our resource collections, which can be found at noaa.gov/education/resource-collections, and that URL is on the slide. And on this page, we have 26 curated, themed collections of educational materials paired with what I like to call the NOAA Education Introduction to a Topic. And these topics include things like climate change impacts, the water cycle, marine mammals, hurricanes, and ocean acidification. And the second option is our searchable database, which is called NOAA Sea to Sky. In this database, you can filter through over 1,000 different resources quickly to find exactly what you are looking for. You can filter by things like age, school subject, resource type, topic, and even more than that. And we even have special filters for things like printable materials, things that are translated into other languages, or outdoor education. And so this next part that I'm going to talk about is just for people who are internal to NOAA, as well as any partners and grantees. But I wanted to talk about how we get materials added to these pages. So the most important thing is we need to know about these resources and these materials. So we add materials that we find out about through education channels at NOAA, but that is not a perfect system. So if your office or program has created a resource that you think could be useful for educators, we can we would love to add them. And this can include things like lesson plans and activities, but also things like data resources, videos, podcasts, background reading, activity pages, posters, and more. So please let me know about them. The best way to do that is to send an email to education@noaa.gov with a link to what you'd like added to our website. We review materials and add them as quickly as we can. And also, we periodically update the themed collections. So if you're a subject matter expert at NOAA who wants to help review, please reach out to me. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Becca. This is such good information. Thank you for sharing it. Lonnie Gonzalez is our next speaker. He is a Science Division Chief in the NOAA National Centers for Coastal Ocean Science. He leads an applied science division that primarily focuses on coastal contamination and harmful algal blooms. Lonnie is a proud longtime champion for diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. He is also a product of NOAA's partnership with the NOAA Cooperative Science Centers. Lonnie will tell us about NOAA's engagement with diversity-oriented STEM professional organizations. Lonnie, tell us more.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I just returned from the AMS meeting in Baltimore last week. That was a gathering of NOAA and partners connected to drive advancements in NOAA's weather water enterprise. I know many of you will be at the Ocean Sciences meeting in a few weeks, discussing science and helping to mentor NOAA's future workforce. Lastly, I can recall as a graduate student and early career professional, the value of being an active member of the American Fisheries Society and how that helped grow my technical and leadership skills. I say all this to emphasize that collectively, we're no strangers to being active participants in STEM professional organizations. I'm here today to help galvanize a one NOAA effort to take a similar approach to engagement with diversity-oriented STEM professional organizations. Consider today the official call to action. My vision is that we'll be active members of these communities in order to help drive our priorities for both workforce diversity and ensuring that all Americans are benefiting from NOAA's science mission. So what does engagement look like? Using SACNAS as an example, in October, the cross-line office team had the pleasure of attending the 2023 SACNAS Diversity in STEM Conference in Portland. We took an all-hands approach where efforts were co-led by myself and my NESDIS colleague, Martine Yapor. We brought together a team of volunteers of NOAA staff, largely through our network of employee resource groups, such as Latinos at NOAA and the NOAA Diversity and Professional Advancement Work Group. We relied heavily upon the local support of our NOAA team in the Portland region. So I want to shout out to Penny Revelis and the team for Fisheries Western region. And lastly, our impact was greatly enhanced by the participation of our NOAA affiliates from our cooperative institutes and our contractor team members. Together, We hosted the NOAA exhibit booth, gave us a premier opportunity to introduce SACNAS participants to NOAA science, student, and career opportunities. We developed science and professional development sessions. This included the highly attended sessions promoting a sense of belonging in STEM that were developed by our colleagues Rosemary Casaka and Wilmela Cruz Marrero. We sponsored a field trip to the Bonneville Dam, which helped highlight NOAA fishery science and habitat conservation. And lastly, our NCOS and OAR comm specialists just did an amazing job in ensuring that we built visibility and connectivity with the SACNAS community before, during, and after the conference. And so what's next? Engaging at the national level is great, and we're going to continue to do so. But for long-term success, it is imperative that we continue to grow our contributions to the SACNAS community through robust, sustained engagement with their local chapters and regional affiliates. The same goes for the other target organizations I presented here on the slide. And for this, we need you. We're looking to gather a community of volunteers willing to offer their time to drive these efforts from each of your respective locations. We also welcome members of our NOAA family of partners to be a part of this. So for example, the IE's regional associations, our cooperative science centers, and our cooperative institutes. And I especially want to acknowledge the invaluable role of our employee resource group community and our colleagues who contribute from the human capital perspective, the civil rights and EEO side of the house, and our business administration professionals. We cannot get this done without you. Be on the lookout in the coming weeks for a short Google form to help register volunteers. In the meantime, I encourage you to go online, learn more about some of these respective organizations, and begin kicking off the conversation at your respective office through your people's committees or other units there that you may have to determine how engagement in this effort can support both your local goals and priorities as well as the bigger picture vision for all of NOAA.
Thank you, Lonnie. Your enthusiasm is infectious. We appreciate your call to action. Maddie Kennedy is the National Student Opportunities Manager for the National Sea Grant College Program. She is responsible for the administration of the Knaus Marine Policy Fellowship and the National Marine Fisheries, or NMFS Sea Grant Fellowships, as well as the facilitation of collaboration across NOAA and Sea Grant programs. As a leading member of the Sea Grant DEIJA committee, she is interested in helping students jumpstart their careers and has a passion for supporting diversity, inclusion, and belonging in STEM and STEAM. Today, she will be speaking about the Sea Grant Knaus Fellowship, pronounced with the K. The fellowship is named after John A. Knaus, whose dedication led to the establishment of the National Sea Grant College Program in 1966, and later as the administrator of NOAA from 1989 to 1993. The goal of the fellowship is to continue his legacy of dedication to the national policy decisions affecting ocean, coastal, and Great Lakes resources. Take it away, Maddie.
All right, thank you so much. Hi, folks. It's great to be here. It's great to be talking to you. Thanks for joining. It's my pleasure to talk to you about the Sea Grant Knaus Fellowship. The Sea Grant Knaus Fellowship is the flagship fellowship program for the National Sea Grant College Program. It is a product of Sea Grant's effort to build a diverse, skilled, and environmentally literate workforce that is engaged and able to build prosperous lives and livelihoods in a changing world through traditional and innovative careers. The Knaus Fellowship was established over 40 years ago and has since supported over 1,600 graduate or recent graduate students through a unique educational and professional experience working in the federal government on the latest issues in ocean and coastal management, fisheries, and more. This DC-based fellowship program places highly vetted students in legislative and executive branches of the federal government, where they gain extensive on-the-job experiences across a breadth of professional development experiences. Fellows who opt to follow the legislative track are placed within congressional offices, including NOAA committees of jurisdiction and personal Senate and House offices, where fellows become deeply immersed, taking constituent calls, prepping members for votes, and organizing congressional hearings. Fellows who opt for the executive track are placed in offices across the executive branch, including the Bureau of Ocean Energy, Department of Energy, Federal Emergency Management Agency, Coast Guard, the Navy, the Executive Office of the White House, and across all line offices within NOAA. These fellows are working on projects across the scope of agencies, from very specific topical policies to high-level position staffing agency leaderships. Many of you on this call likely know or have worked with Knaus Fellows or program alumni. Our fellows go on to illustrious careers across the marine environmental sector, from returning to academia at all levels of education and teaching the next generation of students, from policy advisors to leadership and top staff within legislative offices, elected officials, and even award-winning authors. Just saying this list can be intimidating, and while this program is prestigious, we work hard to break down barriers to access through a competitive, comprehensive application process with a support system built throughout. We encourage students from a wide range of backgrounds to apply to the program and educate our selection panel on the importance of reviewing applications with an open mind and with an acknowledgement of their biases. The Knaus Fellowship is truly a unique opportunity and one that I can actually thank for my own growing career. Happy to answer any questions later.
Awesome. Thank you, Maddie. It's now time for some questions. We appreciate those of you who have submitted them. Do you have a question you want to ask? Just type it in the questions panel of the GoToWebinar control panel. Asia?
Thanks so much, Kelly. A first question for Becca. What are the most popular topics in the resource collections?
Oh, thanks. The resource collections also are some of the most popular pages on NOAA.gov/education. We get millions of hits a year on those pages. So we know they're really highly used. And some of the top ones include climate change impacts. That's definitely been the #1 for the last couple of years. And some of the other really popular ones include carbon cycle, water cycle, coral reef ecosystems, ocean acidification, hurricanes, and ocean pollution. Those are some of the top ones.
Thanks, Becca. Next question for Lonnie. How do you track the results of NOAA engagement at these professional conferences, and have you seen any positive results?
Yeah, good question. So what we do is we provided a way we survey on site. We're able to collect some additional contact information for folks and get some direct feedback, both in scripted questions and the unscripted, the open-ended questions, so that we can hear directly from participants, hey, did you learn more about NOAA science? Are you more psyched up about seeking student and career opportunities with NOAA? And then use that feedback. You'll see a report out from us on some of these efforts for our activities here within the next month as well that will highlight some of that data. We also, with the engagement with our comms professionals, that was a big piece over the last 2 years. They're the ones helping to monitor social media traffic and develop more professional social media campaigns to continue to drive and track and make connectivity with those members that we do speak to, right, and keep them involved and make sure that they are getting that interest. And lastly, we do talk with the Office of Education, and we're talking with the Office of Human Capital Services as well to find out how we can continue to look at applicant flow data to assess, hey, are we increasing the number and diversity of applicants, and really are we getting those folks hired as well? And that goes for both career opportunities and for those applicants to our student programs.
Awesome, thank you, Lonnie. And that's actually a great segue to the question from Maddie. How can we hire students that are alumni of these strong NOAA workforce development programs?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, potentially a very hot topic. There are several programs across NOAA, including programs like the EPP Hollings program, which you're going to hear about from Natasha in a few minutes, the PrEP program, Knaus program, the NIMS Population Dynamic and Marine Resource Economics program, the LaPenta program. So many programs across NOAA are actually eligible for something called the Direct Hire Authority. There's many direct hire authorities, but there's two that I sort of have a general grasp on. I'm not a hiring official, but we have the CCA, or the Conservation Corps Act hiring authority, and then we have the Knaus hiring authority. In general, both of these hiring authorities allow for students who have successfully completed their programs and who fulfill the requirements of a job description to be directly hired into the federal government. If you want to learn more about either of these direct hire authorities, we encourage you to work with your line office or office business advisor, as they are the experts in how to use direct hire authorities. But that's really the best way of how to bring in these like wonderful amazing humans that come through the NOAA programs. I'm also happy to answer more questions about that.
Thanks so much, Maddie. And with that, I will turn it back to you, Kelly, for our final set of panelists.
All right, thank you, Asia, and thank you, panelists. Marissa Jones is the Communication Coordinator for NOAA's Office of Education. She manages the Office of Education's website as well as noaa.gov/education. As a member of the NOAA.gov development team, Marissa is always looking for new features and ways to improve what NOAA offers on the web. If you have a student in your life, a son or niece or next door neighbor, pay attention. She will share with us how to find almost all NOAA student opportunities in one place. Marissa, we're listening.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And yes, I'm happy today to talk with you all about NOAA.gov/students. I would like to start off by acknowledging my coworker, Audrey Moran, who's shown in the corner here with a cicada on her nose. Audrey is the higher education communication specialist in the Office of Education, and she manages this database that I'm talking about now. She is on maternity leave now, so I'm going to be talking you through it. We released this updated database and have tried to make it as easy as possible for students to find opportunities that work for them. As Becca said, these opportunities are featured on many websites across the agency. And so we've tried to list them all here. I've got a screenshot showing that we have more than 60 results. It's actually already up to 63 since the time I took the screenshot, where you'll find opportunities that span from elementary age through high school, undergraduate, and graduate opportunities. We also have postdoc and recent graduate opportunities listed here. The types of opportunities include, of course, scholarships and fellowships, as well as paid and unpaid internships. There are volunteer and citizen science programs, and different opportunities for youth, like camps, events, and competitions. And we added a filter to allow students to search by citizenship eligibility, which we heard got some feedback that this was an important criteria. So you can see which opportunities are available to U.S. citizens, U.S. nationals, and permanent residents, as well as international students, either at U.S. institutions or living anywhere in the world. And you can find opportunities that have no citizenship requirements. We have an application period, which just lists general seasons, not specific application dates, so students can get an idea of when application materials are due. And you can also find out whether opportunities are virtual or in person, or if they have flexible locations and are available in multiple locations around the country, or where students can get matched to mentors near them. We are constantly adding this. We say almost all student opportunities. We want to be as comprehensive as possible, but there may be more out there. So if you are NOAA staff or a NOAA partner and you're aware of something that's not here, please let us know. There is a form you can use that's linked at the bottom of the page, noaa.gov/students. And in order for us to feature the opportunity, it must be supported by NOAA and have a permanent URL. And finally, we really hope you will share this. Use it yourself. If you are a student, share it with the students in your live. We know that so many of these opportunities can be truly life-changing and help people take the next step in their education or launch their career. We want this to be as effective for you as possible. So share your feedback. You can email us at education@noaa.gov if you have ideas for how we can improve this site.
All right, thank you, Marissa. Our next speaker, Natasha White, is a management and program analyst with the NOAA Office of Education's Educational Partnership Program with minority serving institutions. She manages programs that focus on the education, training, professional development, and graduation of undergraduate and graduate students. An environmental scientist by training, Natasha is passionate about student experiential opportunities, as her participation in NOAA's Graduate Sciences program was pivotal to the success of her career as a scientist. Today, Natasha will speak about broadening horizons through NOAA higher education student opportunities. Natasha.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Hello, everyone, and I'm happy to be here today to speak from a philosophical point of view using popular quotes and ideologies about broadening horizons through NOAA higher education student opportunities. I'll start with the premise that if you give students something to do, not something to learn, and the doing is such a nature as to demand thinking, learning naturally results. Recognizing that experience drives progress, NOAA proudly hosts students from across the country each year for internship experiences. These experiences can span diverse disciplines and expose curious, innovative minds to NOAA's mission. What I have on the screen for you today is my idea for the formula for success when it comes to student training. The equation is presented in the larger boxes, and the selected foundational principles that I feel need to be in place at NOAA for student success are presented in the smaller boxes. Students may pursue internships at NOAA through one of the established programs, a few of which are listed here. For details on how to access those internship programs, visit the Student Opportunities database that my colleague Marissa just spoke about. Internship opportunities build invaluable relationships that may be transformative in the lives of students. Not only do students learn professional, scientific, research, and other developmental skills while on internships, they also build their first network and gain exposure to what it looks like to be a scientist at NOAA. As important as it is to recruit curious minds to innovate NOAA science, identifying mentors to shape their experiences is key to this equation as well. Maya Angelou famously said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." This resonates very well with me, as I have fond memories of my very first mentor at NOAA. And while she taught me a lot about being a great scientist, I absolutely cherish how welcoming and accommodating she was with helping me to acclimate to the professional work environment. Effective mentors, and NOAA has so many wonderful mentors that take their time and dedicate and invest into our students. Mentors are the lifeblood of student success. It is our goal when recruiting students that the pool looks to be as diverse as the American public. So in addition to providing world-class training, mentors must understand the rules of engagement of working with students from diverse backgrounds, different generations, and other variabilities that are not the norm in their typical work environment. When we have students in an environment conducive to learning and innovation and mentors invested in their advancement, I think this will ultimately lead to success. Shown here are some of our former students who were supported by the Educational Partnership Program with Minority Serving Institutions who have successfully navigated this path to become NOAA federal employees. This is just a subsample. We have over 100 students, former students, who are currently a part of the NOAA workforce. And there are many other students from the other programs that you will find in that database who are also employees at NOAA. But I want to leave you with this. We know we're on the right path. Our journey is not finished, but we have a long way to go. NOAA is committed to student training and ensuring that those students are qualified with hopes that they will become part of NOAA's workforce in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha, and thank you for sharing those successful examples. Those are some great people. We're headed to Hawaii to meet our last speaker. Kimberly Lowe is with the Science Operations Division of the NOAA Pacific Island Fisheries Science Center. She will share with us a unique program bringing Pacific Islanders into NOAA through on-the-job training and outreach. What is Hokuala? Okay, I can say, I practiced this. Hokuala Kikaha Kai, Kimberly. She can say it much better than I can. Kimberly, are you joining us? There she is.
Yes. Aloha. You did a good job, Kelly. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting us to join this group as well. It's my pleasure to share with you about the Pacific Island Fisheries Science Center's Hokuala Kikaha Kai internship. The title describes a wayfinding star rising to guide mariners at sunrise. We chose this imagery representing the gifts and talents of our Pacific Island people, including cultural and life experiences represented on the right-hand side of the slide. Communities from Guam, the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, American Samoa, and Hawaii are well grounded in ocean science and stewardship from a young age. Who better to enlist in NOAA than the people who have cared for these resources for generations? The main goals of the internship are listed in the middle of the slide. Our Science Operations Division, which created the program, sought to train up well-rounded biological technicians serving across the Science Center in a variety of seagoing operations support roles. SOD's service role has been to maintain and support small boats, equipment and gear, develop and maintain data systems, help staff labs and field teams, and support dive safety and operational readiness and many other aspects of our work. Biotechs were trained broadly across a range of skills such as CAD design, electronics, forklift operation, field surveys, boating safety, and many others, and could develop a specialty as they find their real interests. A little bit about our journey from 2021 really to 2023. SOD staff created the curriculum and worked to understand the process and get approval for CCI Direct Hire Authority, which Maddie already mentioned. 2 successful interns completed the program, one in underwater video electronics and the other in geographic information systems. Both remain connected to the Science Center and their extended ohana of mentors. In 2024, SOD was dissolved and their transition, that time of transition is being used to learn from other NOAA programs such as InFish and recreate the internship at a broader level. From 2025 moving forward, the new configuration we're developing will be a PIPS-wide internship, not just SOD. It will continue to have CCI Direct Hire Authority and will have mentors in each PIPS division. In closing, I want to thank more people than we can mention in NOAA who have encouraged our development and provided sound advice along the way, such as the NOAA Office of Education, Human Resources, and staff from the PEP, InFish, and Pathways programs. Mahalo nui loa.
Thank you, Kimberly. It's now time for questions about these last 3 presentations. What questions do you have, Asia?
Thanks, Kelly. I will start with a question for Marissa. What counts as a NOAA-related opportunity?
Oh, yes, great question. So NOAA-related opportunities must be funded or provided directly by NOAA, or they could be hosted at a NOAA facility. They could be a partnership with NOAA. And if that's the case, NOAA must be acknowledged on the website in some way. And we also have programs here where they're run by somebody else, but NOAA staff can serve as mentors for the opportunity. And again, for all of our resources and opportunities that we feature, NOAA must be acknowledged on the website that we're linking to for that opportunity.
Thank you so much for that. So next question for Natasha. Is there any training or documented best practices for aspiring mentors? You focus a lot on the role of the mentor in supporting students. So how do we support our mentors inside of NOAA?
Right now, we don't have formal training for mentors. We do have one course that's offered within the Commerce Learning Center that offers tips and tricks for successful mentoring. But when the program encounters new mentors, we do offer one-on-one sessions with mentors just to talk about experiences that we're aware of. NOAA as an educational community has been talking about the development of mentor training. Unfortunately, right now that's not available, but hopefully we will have something like that available in the future. So for any aspiring mentors, feel free to reach out to me and I can provide some resources and we can have a conversation of what some of those, like the qualities of an effective mentor might look like.
Thank you so much, Natasha. The next question is for Kimberly. Can you describe the past internship experience in your program and then what's coming in the future as it transitions to the Pacific Islands Fisheries Science Center?
So we have used existing NOAA programs. I think Marissa was one of the people who mentioned that we kind of want to have a NOAA program that we can join with. We've had 2 summer interns. One of them worked with our bottom fish survey team, developing her own underwater survey camera equipment and testing different designs in order to get the best view of the fish and startle the fish less, different light wave frequencies and things like that. And our second intern actually developed a GIS operations dashboard that shows where the vessels are, what's the weather look like, what's it look like out there. And she had never done any GIS work, so it was really wonderful to see someone just pick things up so quickly and latch on to them. I'm sorry, did I answer your question?
Yeah, and then, I was just asked you to describe like what the transition is to the program in the future.
I'm sorry, yes. So the transition, like this year, we actually have some opportunities that are listed on the website Marissa mentioned. So if you go to student opportunities, although we don't have a Hokual internship in 2024, there are other Pacific Islands Science Center internships with InFish. And then next year we will resume with a Hokuala more broad internship that will also be on Marissa's wonderful website.
Thank you so much. And I will ask one more question to Marissa before we transition. So everybody else will transition to asking questions to the full group in a second. But for Marissa, do you have any plans for the future of the database? And then what features would you like to add?
Yes, we would love to continue adding new features to this database. We collected, like Audrey collected preliminary information on location, so we could perhaps provide a more detailed location search. Just listening to this conversation now, I'm thinking we should add a field to indicate which programs are eligible for the CCA Direct Hire Authority, because there's a set list of those programs as well. And I would love to add kind of high-level field of study searches, so students can filter down if they're interested in meteorology and atmospheric science, ocean and coast, climate, and so on.
Great, thank you so much. And then at this point, I'd like to welcome all of our presenters back to the screen, and I'll try to start circling through some questions that the audience asked earlier. And audience, there's still a little bit more time to ask more questions if you'd like. One that I'm going to throw out generally to everyone, there is a question that came from the audience that, is there a NOAA education site devoted to showcasing prior interns? I think that's a really good question.
I can speak about that.
Okay.
Asia. So for, at least for the EPPMSI and Holland Scholarship Program students, we do have scholar blogs, and we do have listings and where are they now sections of our website. So if you go to the EPPMSI Hollins website, you can find out about all of our alumni. Particularly if you go to the EPPMSI website, we do have a page where we list all of those who are currently employed at NOAA, and we have brief profiles of those employees on the website as well.
Thank you for that, Natasha. I'm going to circle back to Kayleen now. And there's a question, can you use work hours to participate in outreach as an ambassador?
Yes, if it is approved by your supervisor, you can use work hours to conduct outreach. You can actually use the NAO 216 on education outreach policy to support your participation. So this policy basically encourages employees to participate in education outreach activities related to NOAA's mission as part of their official duty activities. And this policy should also allow for supervisors to grant administrative leave to participate in volunteer activities where they are appropriate.
Thank you, Kayleen. A question for Bronwyn now about BWET. What impacts has the BWET program had? And then do you have, or how do you know the MWE framework is effective? Excuse me.
Thanks so much. Yeah, we have a really wonderful impacts page on our website, so I'd encourage you to check that out for more information. But the BWET program's been around since 2002, and in that time, we've awarded over $149 million to support almost 1,000 BWET projects. So really big impact in that 20 years, just over 20 years of program implementation. In FY23, last year, we reached over 60,000 students and almost 4,700 educators with MWEs and MWE professional development. And in terms of the MWE framework, so we do use program evaluation, current research on teaching and learning, and lessons learned from those many years of program implementation to refine that framework and improve it. We are in the process of finalizing an analysis of our most recent program evaluation data collection, and that analysis is showing that as a result of participating in professional development, we fund teachers improve their knowledge of watershed science, increase their confidence in teaching about watersheds and leading stewardship actions. Teachers also report that after engaging in BWET funded programs, their students increase their understanding of watershed science, improve their science skills, are more engaged in learning, and are more likely to improve their performance on standardized tests. And then more than 80% of our grantees agree that BWET improved the overall quality of environmental education at their organization, the grantees that we fund, and that their projects have contributed to environmental education becoming part of the regular curriculum or practice at multiple schools. So if you want to learn more, definitely check out our impacts page on the website.
Great, thank you, Bronwyn. And then a similar question to Seabury. You mentioned the program resulting in behavioral change, and so can you say a little bit more about how you see that?
Yeah, we did a very unique study called a willingness to participate study, where we actually went to the schools and to parents to put a value on how they perceive these types of programs with their kids in schools. And from that, not only were we able to actually put a dollar value, an associated dollar value with these types of education and stewardship projects, but we are also able to survey. We surveyed a lot of parents, a lot of teachers and students, and found that behavioral changes after a certain amount of time within the schools do take place. Kids are more willing to interact with peers and promote the idea of ocean conservation. And I think it's really pertinent to say that evaluation is key to a lot of these programs. I think NOAA does a really good job of ensuring that we're tracking our programs and documenting their successes. And I think Ocean Guardian is one of those valuable programs within NOAA.
Thank you so much, Seabury. For Becca, are the resources in the collection and the database only from NOAA, or do you include things from other agencies and outside groups?
Yeah, so the collections are they are NOAA collections. So everything there has to be somewhere from NOAA. It can either be something that was created by a program at NOAA, like the National Weather Service or the National Ocean Service, or it can be made from an official partner, someone that we have an official partnership with, like an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, or a grantee. So the grantee funded educational resources are created with money that's coming from NOAA. So we put those in our collections as well. So basically anything in the collections and the database has to be tied back to NOAA in some way. That includes, we don't include things from other federal agencies unless we're partnered with them on it. And if we have something like a grantee who has created a resource through the grant, then we can include that. But other materials that they are creating not through grants, we do not include, even if they're from the same group. So has to tie back to NOAA somehow. Thanks.
Thank you. Next question for Maddie. How do I host a Knaus Fellow?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. To host a Knaus Fellow, you must be based within the DMV region. This is a DC-based fellowship program. So basically, to host a fellow, there is a process starting in July-ish timeframe where we ask you to, we start advertising for hosts. You have to fill out a pretty comprehensive application process, application to host. And then after that, we actually run something called the placement process, of which you get to potential fellows sign up to interview with you. You go through an interview. We have some sort of like we have networking events where you get to know folks. And then if you're lucky, you get matched with a fellow. It takes quite a bit of effort and energy to host a fellow, but if you are interested, please email me at oir.sg.fellows@noaa.gov, and I'm happy to add you into my listserv.
Thank you, Maddie. And I want to circle back to someone else. It seems like the work time, like using work time for these kinds of opportunities has come up for other people. So I wanted to kick it to Lonnie to see if he has anything to say before we close out.
Yeah, and I'll try to be brief. This topic has come up even in terms of the ERG, the Employee Resource Group community. And what I will tell you is highlighting the fact that whether it's the White House, Department of Commerce, our administrator, and our political leadership, they have all made very clear efforts to drive the equitable service delivery and workforce diversity are part of our priorities, or a key part. And so, for example, if you're in NESDIS or Weather Service and working through National Society of Black Engineers, you're talking with a group of applied mathematicians and computer scientists about NOAA satellite products or models and helping to increase their use of the available data and services that we're putting out. That is a part of our mission function. That is a justification to use your time to be driving the mission. With SACNAS, they bring together a strong network of tribal community members, elders, folks that are with the communities that we're looking to serve out. And so, for example, Steve Morton with the NOAA Phytoplankton Monitoring Network, his session at our SACNAS conference was about increasing access and participation and visibility of a premier NOAA science program within the context of engagement with STEM professional organizations. So I don't want to get on the soapbox, but I feel strongly about there is that strong direct justification, and these are not efforts that are about hey, if we got time, or hey, we maybe get to it at the end of the day. They're not auxiliary. They really are core components of driving our mission now and into the future. And I have no problem if you need additional insights or need some help with some of those discussions there with your respective teams, feel free to reach out, or any of our other champions that have been working with these efforts for quite some time.
I'm going to jump in here to close us out. Thank you, Asia. Thank you to the wonderful, passionate panelists. All of you believe so strongly in your programs, and you should. They're great. Thank you for coordinators Bethany Perry and Asia Shumalo. And thank you to our audience. I hope you have enjoyed it. If we didn't get to your question, because we had some good ones, we will pass it along to the panelists. As a reminder, the webinar recording will be posted next week and can be found at the webpage just now added to the chat box. You can also find recordings of past webinars using that link. As we end, please stay on for one more minute to answer a few brief questions that will appear on your screen. Your feedback really is helpful. We've used it a lot, actually, as we plan future webinars like this one. And thanks again for your participation, and have a fine day.